What up, everyone? So, something I am particularly excited about. Something different from what I normally do on the channel. As you've probably seen if you watch my channel regularly, I'm trying to branch out a little bit, doing some different things here and there. Still, the main point is unboxings and things like that, but I like to touch on certain things because there's a lot of things that I'm still interested in and like to talk about. So I've been branching out into gaming a little bit. I wouldn't consider myself a gamer by any means, but there are two franchises that I am a huge fan of, and that would be Super Smash Bros., which you guys have seen me posting videos of, and I went to EVO and competed in, and the other one is Marvel vs. Capcom. Again, I'm not a gamer, but I play these games religiously, like all the time, and I absolutely love them. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 I still play to this day, although not really anyone else does. There's hardly ever anyone online that plays, but I still like to play it. I love that franchise. I went to EVO and watched people compete in it. Excuse me, I'm absolutely obsessed with it. And I think it's great. So, a new little segment I'm going to be starting. When I first started my channel, I talked about wanting to do something like this. To do like updates and news and have a discussion about like things about games that are coming up, but I'm usually not in the know on them, except for these ones. When I started my channel, I missed out on Smash Bros. And Marvel vs. Capcom 3. They had already come out, but we just got the announcement that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is coming out, and I couldn't be more excited. Like, this is probably the most excited you'll ever see me. So, this may not be something that interests everyone, so if you don't like this and don't want to talk about it, that's okay. I don't expect you to, because this is not what I normally do. So if this video gets 0 views, I'm totally okay with that. I'm still going to talk about it. I'm still going to post stuff in hopes that even one person wants to talk about it, because I don't care. But this is my fucking channel, and I'll talk about whatever I want to. Just kidding. But yeah, seriously though, something that I'm very passionate about and that I'd like to talk about. So if you want to jump in, basically these videos are just going to be like a discussion board. I'm going to touch on certain topics and we'll just get to talking. If people have questions or have information, post it on one of these videos, and for now it'll strictly be Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. As if this goes well, then maybe I'll do more games or even movies and stuff like that. But yeah, this is something that I've always been excited about. When the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, I used to check Google News every day for new character releases, and I like to go on like message boards and talk to people about what they thought, speculation and things like that. So that's what I want to do here. So, yeah, let's get right into it and let's start talking about it. And please jump in on the comments if you have anything to add or just want to talk about it. I want to talk to people about it and I have no one to talk to. So, that's why I'm posting a video. First of all, what we know as of this point, we got the 2 trailers, which is technically 1. They did the Capcom Cup, was that what it's called? Anyway, they did Street Fighter V Tournament, and they had a little additional trailer at the end of it. Wasn't really a separate trailer, though. They said they were going to do gameplay, but it wasn't that. It was just it was more like the extended version of the first thing. It was all one trailer, they just split it in half. The first one was just the initial character reveal, and the second half of it was a little bit of gameplay. Not much. It wasn't people actually playing, it was pre-recorded, so there really isn't much information we have at this point. What we do know, it's probably, as far as we can tell, it's going to be 2 versus 2 instead of the original 3 versus 3. Now, I'm not totally sure how I feel about it. I guess I'd be okay with it, but I really like the 3 versus 3 mechanic. I think I really liked having 3 characters. That's what made that game special. It always kept it interesting because no matter who played the game, they had a different combination of characters, so it was different every time someone played. 2 versus 2 still has that slightly, but from what I hear, there's going to be an assist character that's just an assist, that's not an actual character, so it'll kind of be like 3v3, but it'll be a little bit different. So there's that. And the only characters we have confirmed are Ryu, obviously, and Iron Man, obviously, and then Mega Man X, which we missed out on in Marvel vs. Capcom, which was one of the most requested characters, or at least it was the most requested character on Capcom's side, and we finally got to see it after all these rumors and speculation. And then on the Marvel side, we got Captain Marvel. Now, we'll have to see whether they do Miss Marvel as well, or whether they just incorporate that into one character. That's to be seen. Now, I also heard someone, a credible source, say that Captain America was confirmed. I think they just misspoke, though. For what I can tell, we didn't get a confirmation of that. I'm sure he will be in the game, there's almost no doubt about it, but I didn't get that officially confirmed. But so far, it looks great. I really like the way it looks. Because honestly, I was so excited about Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but I didn't really like the way it looked. Like the trailers, the initial release trailer, if you haven't seen it, they kind of did this like really dark shading thing, and their explanation of it is they tried to make it look like a comic book style, and it really didn't come across that way. I didn't like it. It was weird too, going from Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, because it was the first time we went from the two-dimensional to the three-dimensional, so it was a big step. But the art style of it just didn't really come across, and I didn't really like it, to be quite honest. I still love the game, but I think the art direction could have been a lot better, because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 had amazing artwork, and the third one, it just looked awkward. I could see what they were trying to do, making it look like a living comic book, but it just didn't come across that way, and I didn't really like it. And the trailers didn't look that great either. I just wasn't that psyched about how it looked, but I didn't care at the time because it just looked so awesome. This version, the Infinite version, looks more photorealistic, and that's just more lifelike, I guess. They're not trying to make it look like a comic book anymore. They're just trying to make it look three-dimensional, like a CGI movie. It doesn't look like actual humans by any means, but it just looks more like a CGI-generated movie versus anything else, which I really like. And from the limited snips that we've seen, it looks pretty awesome, and I'm so excited that Mega Man X is back, because he was one of the characters that I used before. Like Mega Man, I always used in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and they had Mega Man Voltnut and Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, and I've always been a fan of Mega Man X. He's one of my favorites. So that's something I'm really excited about, and that's something that looks really cool. Now, about the game, this is still speculation, but we're pretty sure this is what's going on because we've gotten this from credible sources. So things we also know is that many of you know, pretty much anyone that's seen any Marvel movie knows, that Marvel does not own, it's not that they don't own the rights, but a lot of characters are distributed out in the cinematic universe. Like, they just got back Spider-Man, they don't have X-Men, Fantastic Four, they got back Daredevil and Ghost Rider and things like that, but for a long time they didn't. So what's going to happen in this one, it's going to be more of a reboot, they said, of the first Marvel vs. Capcom. That's why we're back to the 2 versus 2. It's going to be like that. But now, since they're rebooting it, they're going to focus more on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Capcom side won't change much. Capcom is making the game, and they can put whatever they want, whatever characters they want in it. So it's going to be whatever characters they want to promote, and some classic ones too. And then the Marvel side is going to focus more on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, most likely, not going to see any X-Men characters. Now, they haven't confirmed that they're not going to be any at all, because it would be pretty weird to have a Marvel vs. Capcom game without Wolverine in it. That would be kind of odd. So, my speculation is that they'll probably have, like, Wolverine and maybe one other one, and then still kind of steer away from it. So, they haven't confirmed no X-Men, but they're just not going to focus on it. But there could be no X-Men, we don't know. So here's the thing, they have had an announcement that Fox and Marvel have been working more cohesively together and for the whole cinematic universe. And there's a deal in progress, hasn't gone through yet, that Disney will help Fox reestablish their X-Men universe because they're going to try and reboot the series. They're going to help with that, in exchange getting the Fantastic Four back, which would be huge. That would be so awesome if we could reincorporate them back into the MCU and get them into the movies, part of the Avengers. That would be badass. So if that is the case, if that deal goes through, which it seems like it is going to go through, then we'll definitely see some Fantastic Four characters in this game, which is good, because we haven't seen a lot of them. We've seen Doctor Doom, and we had one other one which I can't remember, but yeah, we haven't seen Invisible Woman. I don't know if she would be in it. Mr. Fantastic, Human Torch, The Thing. Like, we haven't seen most of those. Oh, Shuma Gorath, which kind of is a Fantastic Four, kind of Avengers, but made appearances. So anyway, so that's characters that we might see in the future. But hopefully, we still do get X-Men characters in this game, because I would love to see Gambit. He was one of the characters that I didn't get in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 that we were all hoping for but didn't get. He was supposed to be in there, but it didn't work out. So, I'm just going to keep talking, by the way, so hopefully, I'm going to try my best to show pictures, by the way, but a lot of channels get dinged for having copyrighted material in there, so I got to be really careful about that, so I don't think I can show the trailer or anything, but I'm going to try my best to add pictures here and there the best I can. Anyway, some little known news about Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 that most people actually didn't know. when they released the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in the beginning of 2016. Now, like most Capcom games, they release more in series. Street Fighter is a perfect example. They released Ultra and Super, and then Marvel vs. Capcom, they released Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom later that year. And people thought it was weird that they released it the same year as the original one, and also it didn't have that much content that people thought. And the reason was the contract they had with Marvel. It expired for that game at the end of 2011. So they had to put it out before the year's end. Because the original plan was to add 20 new characters instead of 12. The reason for this was Marvel vs. Capcom 2 had 56 characters. They wanted Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. They wanted to release it later, obviously, but again, they had to do it before 2011 was up. And they wanted to do 20 because that would have brought the final roster of UMVC 3 to 58, therefore having 2 more characters than Marvel vs. Capcom 2 because they wanted it to be bigger and better. That didn't end up happening, and they had to cut it short, bring it down to 12 characters because due to time constraints and due to their contract length because it went on longer than they thought. So we only got 12, but the actual producers and the creators of it said that the characters that were really requested, like Mega Man X, Gambit, Venom, those would have been in the roster had it not gone down to 12. If it had 20, those characters would have absolutely made it in. The reason that they didn't put those characters in, the reason why those were cut, is because they were focused more on promoting movies versus promoting characters. And Mega Man X hasn't had anything come up in such a long time, so there was no need to promote him by putting him in a game. Same with Venom, because at the time, Spider-Man still belonged to Sony, so those were characters that were cut because they weren't trying to promote it. Instead, we got Doctor Strange, Rocket Raccoon, Iron Fist, all characters that were going to be doing something in the near future, all that were going to be in movies or TV shows, so those took favoritism to promote new stuff for Marvel. So that makes sense why that would happen. So that's just something that a lot of people didn't know that was actually confirmed by some of the creators. So just interesting tidbits. So back to what I was saying, that this game is going to focus on the Marvel Universe. That means that it's going to be all characters from Disney that Disney still has a hold of. And that's why it's not going to probably be X-Men and possibly not Fantastic Four. But the funny thing is that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 kind of already did do that. They did have a lot of other characters, but they already had all the Avengers. They had Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Hawkeye, and Captain America that were all in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And they had Rocket Raccoon for Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that. So they already had it pretty well covered. So characters that we probably will see, I'm sure we'll get Black Panther. We've already seen Miss Marvel. I'm sure Doctor Strange will make an appearance. The rest of the Avengers probably will. They'll probably add like Black Widow if I had to guess. I doubt Nick Fury would be in there. It doesn't make any sense that he would. Maybe more Guardians of the Galaxy characters, maybe Groot or something like that. I'm not sure which would seem the most playable, but probably one of those. Who else? Spider-Man will probably make a return, and hopefully more Spider-Man characters since they're not doing X-Men, because I'd love to see Venom back, or like Green Goblin, or Hobgoblin, or something like that, or Carnage. Like, that would be really badass to see, so I'm still excited no matter what. It would be very disappointing if no X-Men characters made it, but at the end of the day, I'd still rather have the game than not. I wouldn't say, like, don't do it without X-Men, but I'd still rather have it. So if that's a sacrifice we have to make, that's what it is, and that's what it's going to have to be. So what we can expect as far as characters, now I'm only going to speak for the Marvel side, because Capcom's side is pretty much going to stay the same. They're going to add new characters, so whatever the more recent games are, they're going to add them. So probably one of the newer Street Fighter characters. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had Viper in it, so I doubt she'll come back. I think that's going to be one of the people that doesn't make it into the next one. So they'll probably add one of the new characters from Street Fighter 5. Who that is tough to say, but you can go ahead and guess. One thing that I know they're going to try to do, which they did do with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, is balance it out between male characters and female characters, which, you know, I'm not totally a fan of. I feel like they should just do popular characters. If they're female, fine. If they're male, fine. But I don't think they should go out of their way to try and include more of one or the other. Just let it happen naturally. I don't think any, like, females honestly going to look at that game and be like, where are the female characters? Like, I'm not playing this shit. Like, no. Like, no one's going to give a shit. Like, if it's a good game, people are going to play it no matter what. as long as they have some female characters, I think that's fine. And we already have Miss Marvel. She looks badass, so that's cool. But I didn't like that they had, like, She-Hulk in the last one. I thought she was a dumb character. I thought she was kind of a waste. I don't think she should have been in it. No one really used her. I thought that was dumb. So the reason I say that is because they'll probably try to add another female character from Street Fighter. They had Chun-Li in Marvel's Capcom 3. She will probably come back, so they're going to try to add more female characters and then try to mix it up and balance it out. But mostly the Capcom stuff will stay the same. Hopefully Zero will come back and make an appearance. He was a badass character, but that's mostly the same. As far as the Marvel characters, it's going to be based on what movies are out there. We're probably going to see, I would assume, Daredevil, Punisher, I'm sure will come in because that was one of the most requested characters, and he's now on TV. Iron Fist was already in there. Luke Cage will probably make an appearance as well because, again, they're all about promoting their own stuff. So anyone that's either been in a recent movie or is in a movie will make an appearance. At the end of the trailer, we saw a silhouette, which we can only assume is Voltron. I think it's pretty safe to assume that's Voltron. And then we saw another pair of eyes, which, again, I would assume is Thanos. I'd be pretty surprised if Thanos didn't make an appearance because he's going to play such a big, important role in the Avengers 3 and possibly 4. And he was also in Guardians of the Galaxy and a lot of this stuff, so I would assume that's Thanos. So I think that's pretty safe to say that. And Thanos was in it before, wasn't in Marvel's Capcom 3. Ultron's never made an appearance. I'm sure he'll be really cool. So there's that. Other than that, I think Vision will probably be in there. I'm sure he'll make an appearance in some way or another because he hasn't made an appearance in anything else yet. Other than that, that's pretty much covered most of the characters, and that's what you're going to expect. And I can't imagine, we have no idea what the roster is going to be like at this point. They announced that it's going to be a 2017 title, which hopefully they keep that to it because that's not much time. We're going to be in 2017 in less than a month. We're almost there. So we have, technically, less than a year till this game comes out. That being said, they've never been this far in the process before information's gotten leaked before. People were pretty surprised by it. We only knew this game was coming like a week before the trailer announcement, which is a pretty short amount of time considering how it usually goes. So I think it's safe to assume that we will get an initial build of it and then they'll add on to it. The trend of all games seems to be to do things in series, like Street Fighter, like Killer Instinct, like those games. They release a small build of it and then they add on to it. Smash Brothers did the same thing. And usually that started out because they didn't have enough time to finish it, but now it's just more of a money, funding technique, which I'm actually okay with. I'd rather get a small build of the game and have it build up over time than get one big one and then have the game die out within like a year. I'd rather it be a slow process so that keeps the game alive. I've heard so many people saying that updates and things like that keep the game alive. They breathe life into it and remind you to go play, and that keeps people online so I can still go online and play, versus a game being complete and then being like outdated in a year because people are distracted with other stuff and then no one's online to play. So I hope that they do kind of release it in stages. I'd be okay with that. But I know a lot of other people aren't okay with that. So let me hear what you think about that and then we can talk about it. And yeah, but that's just what I think. And that's what I think is safe to assume, considering it's coming out in less than a year. And I can't imagine them trying to do more characters than number 2 or number 3, to be quite honest, because if they're focusing on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there aren't that many characters yet. There's been a lot of movies, but each Marvel movie's only introduced like 1 or 2 new characters each time. There's not that many out there. So we'll probably see like Scarlet Witch, maybe Quicksilver, but some of those characters, like, I wouldn't be that thrilled about it. Like, those two, like, I wouldn't be super psyched to get them in a video game, and I wouldn't mind it, but there are so many other better characters, so it's tough to say if we'll have a huge roster or not based on the limitations of where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is at this point. Now that they've acquired Spider-Man back, that does open it up to a bunch of stuff, and Vulture's going to be in Homecoming, so I'm sure we'll see him in one form or another, which would be cool. So that branches it out. So fingers crossed that we do get Fantastic Four rights back to Marvel, because that would make this game fantastic and the Marvel Cinematic Universe fantastic. And hopefully at least Wolverine makes an appearance, maybe Magneto or Gambit or something like that. But we can't expect a lot of X-Men, if any at all. So that's what it is. Yeah, so that's a lot. I think I covered everything I want to talk about. yeah, so that's pretty much it. So there's a lot I've discussed. I've talked for a long time here, but essentially I'm going to do a new video anytime new information comes to light. When there's a new trailer release or research that I do, I'm constantly online trying to look up this stuff. So if I find any new information, I'll post a new video and we'll talk about that. For the time being, like I said, if you want to talk about it, feel free to jump in on the comments. If you don't want to, hey, no worries. You don't have to. I'll keep doing unboxings. That'll still be my thing. But this is just something that I really want to talk about that I'm so excited for. So if there's anything I missed, throw it in the comments. If there's anything you just want to keep talking about, let's keep it going. So until the next time, I will see you on the next Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite video. Other than that, I'll see you on the next unboxing video. Thank you all for watching and listening to what I have to say. Love you all. Peace.